Hey people, this video isn't going to be like everything else. This is more of a document and also a piece of advice. As we currently make this video, there is a virus going around that passes via human touch and via air, and is airborne via droplets that come from your mouth and from your nose. We call it the coronavirus. It's actually a really bad name because coronaviruses are just one form of virus. This being the 19th strain, hence the term COVID-19. And this thing is incredibly lethal to people with some pre-existing conditions. But the thing is, it's also incredibly contagious. And that is currently why we're all locked away. In England, they've gone into full lockdown. In Scotland, we are on a level-based system. In Wales, they're on a circuit breaker lockdown. I'm not too sure about Northern Ireland, but if you are from Northern Ireland and you see this video, please let me know. This virus is that infectious that it infected hundreds of people at a conference in February from one person carrying it asymptomatically. And this is what we need to talk about, because you can have the virus without actually knowing you've got the virus, because you can carry the virus and spread it without realizing that you've got it. As some people have it for a while, they throw it off and they don't have any symptoms whatsoever, while some people get it and they end up on ventilators and then eventually die, which is horrendous. And if that's somebody you know, then I am extremely sorry. Personally, for me, it has killed 2 people I know so far. It has hurt a significant amount of other people. So what can we do to prevent the virus? Well, for a start, we need to keep 2 meters away from people wherever possible, and at the very least 6 feet away, which is roughly the height I am. So try to think of a tall fella, and that's the sort of distance you should really keep away from people. We really should be keeping distancing. We can cover our mouths and our noses with masks. And when I say wearing a mask, I mean it should go and cover your nose and your mouth. And best place to have it is so the contacts of it touch there and around by your ears. This allows us to prevent the spread of droplets coming from both your mouth and your nose. And speaking of covering things and making sure things are sterile, wash your hands. Your hands should be washed whenever you touch your hand, whenever you touch a piece of food, you go to the toilet, you touch your face, or pretty much anything that isn't around you. So if you're thinking, oh man, like that, and you're in a public place, then the first thing you should do is go and wash your hands. Now, I should let you know that I am filming this in a kitchen, but there is nothing in front of me. I'm on my own. Washing your hands, keeping your distance, wearing a mask, they are all incredibly important, because the thing is that whilst there is at least in Scotland, there is a vaccine currently in stage 3 of human trials, the virus's vaccine is no magic bullet. It won't eliminate it. It just means that everybody will survive it if we have a vaccine. And this is something we are going to have to live with for the next year until such a time that hopefully I'll be able to record a video soon where I can talk about this as if it was history. So far in the USA, where there is no medication, 200,000 people have been killed because of coronavirus. Many more have been infected, and the spread is only going to get worse. So what can we do to prevent it? Well, for a start, when you can, you should really stay at home. Only going out for what you need to go out for, or going out for those little bits of respite that we have, if you can, be it, going to the shops to get something of a luxury item, but try to stay at home. Try to stay away from people, even the ones you love, and I know that's difficult. We are currently on the run up to Christmas time, which here in Scotland we celebrate quite largely by comparison to other European countries. And we all want to be around our families, but for the sake of keeping our grandparents and our parents who are maybe elderly and other elderly relatives alive, we have to stay at home. We have to keep our distance. We're going to be having to do our Christmas dinners via Zoom as opposed to being able to toast for the new year with each other. And that is incredibly hard. And the impact on the mental health of people cannot be ignored. well, I live near Glasgow, and I have friends who work in hospitals, and the amount of attempted and failed suicide attempts that are coming into our A&Es is skyrocketing. So please keep talking to each other. If you can video call your friends, I highly recommend doing that, just for that face-to-face interaction, because we, as human beings, we're all sociable. No matter how much of us don't actually like people, I happen to be one of those, to be fair, we all need this from time to time. And I know it's difficult, but we need to do it. For those up in the Highlands, I'm speaking to Scottish people directly here, who can go out into level 1 and level 0. I don't think anywhere's been level 0'd yet. For those areas where they can go out into the pubs and whatever, you still need to wear your mask when you're not actually sat down. Don't meet up with people from other households, from more than one household in groups of 6. This isn't something that I enjoy saying, this is something that I'm saying for you. As of 2 days ago, a friend of mine in Lancaster, England, passed away from the coronavirus. How did he get it? Quite simply put, before England went into lockdown, he just went to the chippy. Somebody who went into the chippy at the same time had the coronavirus, and it spreads. So, is there a hope at the end of the tunnel? Yes, there is. We will get through this. This will end. And by following what we've said, we can get through this easier. If you have a continuous cough that happens to be dry, if you have a temperature, if you have chest pains, if you lose your sense of taste or smell, then you should put yourself away from everybody else in what we call self-isolation. You should book a test, and you should also let your work, your school, wherever you are, know. Because then they can do this thing called contact tracing, where they find out where you've been, who else has been there, and whether they may or may not have been affected. This way we can actually isolate the hotspots of this virus and narrow it down. You see, a virus can only live as long as it has hosts. That is what a virus is. That is exactly what a virus does. So, if we can limit those areas and we can squash it down, squash the amount of tracing down and limit the spread, then maybe and hopefully we can be a bit like New Zealand, where right now there are no cases of coronavirus anymore. And we can only do that through doing our bit. Whilst we're on the subject of doing our bit, we can also use our time on social media to put pressure onto our governments to do more about this. For example, the Welsh have now closed the border with England. Here in Scotland, we really should be putting pressure on our First Minister, on our Minister for Health, for Public Health up in Scotland, so we can close the border with England. If we close that border, we can make Scotland COVID-free, and that is what I'm praying we do. My thoughts go out to any of you who have lost family members during this, or friends. I know, it's horrendous. But, as I said before, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm saying this very deliberately, this will end. There will be a time when we will be able to march as one nation, walking through Glasgow. Hundreds of thousands of us that did it beforehand, maybe even millions, marching through Glasgow as we are Scotland. That will be a thing. But for now, we just need to follow the rules. I know it sounds daft, and I know that not all the data matches up to what we believe it should be, but then how many of us are mathematicians? How many of us are statisticians? All we can do right now is trust in our doctors, in our nurses, and hope for the best. May your God bless you wherever you are, and goodbye.